Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Hexagons and hey, listen, it's Belarus just casually sliding into the contest and making history with their selection from yesterday. It's Artem Luk'yanenka and Ksenia Zhuk, collectively known as NAVI, which is Ivan backwards, by the way, funnily enough, also featuring Vlad Cheshchevic, Alexander Tobolsky and Vova Bega on various other instruments, but Artem and Ksenia are the main duo here. And the song Historyja Majho Žyccia, which means story of my life, and the entire song is in Belarusian! Too much? Should I dial it back a bit? Okay, I'll calm down. They've finally done it, though. Oh, after a good few years of campaigning on the part of the Belarusian broadcaster, they've finally gone with a song in their native language. Of course, that's hardly been helped in this quest by the fact that they've only ever included one Belarusian language song in each year's national final, but hey, it's finally happened now, we can all calm down. So, music and lyrics are by Artem Luk'yanenko. I'm sorry, I'm so not used to saying Belarusian names. So what are my first impressions of this song then? Well, I freely admit, when I was making my notes for this review, I did have the overwhelming urge to slip in the phrase two-gear diarrhea, which is not as bad as it sounds as a concept, trust me. Anyway, I think that really applies to the Belarusian approach when they handle their national culture within Eurovision songs. Either they completely ignore it, blank it, and just send various flavours of commercial pop that will just chart regardless of the country, or they'll turn it all the way up to 11 and scream out to the world, I am Belarus! Look at how Belarus I am! And that's completely okay with me. That's what they're doing this year. And you know what? It's refreshing. It's refreshing to hear a song like this in Eurovision again after all this time. I mean, really, we, depending on your definitions, haven't had anything like this since either the 2014 Junior contest, Nadezhda Misyakova and Sokal, which was, again, in the Belarusian language, as opposed to English for the adult contest and Russian for the junior contest. Belarus 2011, where they were really, the song was called I Love Belarus, that tells you all you need to know there. Or maybe even Slovenia 2010, Narodno Zabavny Rock, which, again, is kind of, look at our culture, and just waving it in your face in a really good way. Like, I mean it in a good way. Or maybe even Moldova 2009. Nelly Sobanu, I don't know how you pronounce her surname, and Horad in Moldova. Again, we're taking a country's culture and turning it all the way up to 11 with our national pride and throwing it in your face and saying, look at us, look at our country, look at everything about us, love us. And hey, I mean, my mother even made me a Belarus jumper to go with this review. Actually, she made it for Christmas, but it wasn't done in time. I digress. So, look at you, Belarus, getting up and doing stuff. Go you! I'm proud of you. Anyway, what do I like about this song? Well, okay, this song is so damn happy. I mean, really, I have no idea what the lyrics mean just yet, beyond the title meaning story of my life, but it's uplifting just to listen to, even if you don't know what they're saying. It bleeds pure, simple happiness, and it's an innocent happiness, too. It's a fountain of unbridled, simple pleasure, regardless of whether that's coupled with the beautiful scenery of the music video or the traditional patterns in the background of the live performance. Whatever, it's sure to give a sense of contentment to almost any audience. And that's something else worth mentioning. It's simplicity, and by that I mean it's not overly complicated. I mean that in a good way. Again, it doesn't overcomplicate itself with excessive flourishes or vocal gymnastics. It's just a couple of singers who are eager to spread the Belarusian language and culture to as many people as possible, and they do it in such a sweet way. They want to spread their culture and smiles. And that's so nice. In the studio version, they also have some really nice harmonies between them, which is very good, considering the prevalence of the vocal hook throughout, because they've even said in an interview they're going to sing it in Belarusian, and so the vocal hook is kind of what they want everyone to sing along with, kind of like the opposite of Bulgaria last year, the O Dai Mi Lubov bit, where people can't understand it, but they'll sing along anyway. This is the opposite. The one bit of the song people can understand because it has no particular meaning, the hey, hi, yo, that's what they want people to sing along with, because that's the bit that defines the song, apart from, that's what they want people to remember it through. So if they were to mess that up, the entire foundation of the song would just vanish on the spot, along with half of the actual song itself. And you're very aware throughout as well that the song is a partnership. It's a duet performed by a duo. There's a great balance of Artem and Ksenia having individual verses and then also having shared lines and the refrain and also the vocalizations. It always feels like they're sharing the experience rather than it just being a woman and her private personal guitarist who follows her through the woods sometimes. That said though, what do I not quite like so much about this song? Well, happy though it is, there are some things that I'm afraid I will have to pull this one up on. Firstly, and most noticeably to me, while their harmonies are lovely and just uplifting in the studio version, when it comes to the national final performance, they sound either tired or just like their energy is being completely lost somewhere between their singing and my ears. And I've discussed this phenomenon in my reviews before. It's not uncommon with Eurovision songs. The example I always come back to is Austria 2012. Both there and with this song, the song is full of energy and good vibes and happiness, and it's so full of get up and go. But when it hits the stage, the get up and go's got up and gone. There's something missing from it that just makes it sound tired. And in a similar vein to that, the song pretty much stays where it is throughout. There are two distinct phases to it. There are the bits with lyrics, and then there's the bits with the hey, hey, hi, hi, oh, which, again, they said they wanted that to be the main identifier of the song, and that's fine. But if they're not singing that, they're singing verses or the refrain, and if they're not singing the verses or the refrain, they're singing that. Those are the only two modes that this song has. It doesn't go anywhere. To such an extent that you can cut the song into pieces based on what they're singing at the time, and then rearrange them in any order that you like, and unless you speak Belarusian, chances are you wouldn't know the difference. In fact, you'd probably loop this song infinitely, and people wouldn't think, oh hey, they're playing this song twice. They'd think, oh, Historyja Majho Žyccia is actually a really long song. You could play it 3 times in a row and it would have the same effect. So that, coupled with its infectious, in-your-face happiness, that might make this song incredibly irritating to some people, especially given how long it takes to end, because they sing the final refrain, and then they repeat the vocalization about 16 times before the song actually comes to a close. And that's fine, that's the style of the song, that's what they want people to remember the song for, that's completely okay. But that's also a reason some people might take against this one. They might, like, if they've had a rough day and then they hear this, maybe even if they've got some young kids who are singing along with it, they'll just be like, oh my god, stop singing! Just because it's that simplicity, again, I suppose. So it's not bad, but some people might not like it for it. So what are my ratings out of 10 looking like for this one then? Well, my own personal, private, individual opinion score is 7. A voice in my head does want to lower that to a 6, and then rationalise it by saying that I gave out way too many 10s last year, so I should be stricter and have a harsher scoring system, but no, I'm going to settle for a 7 on this one, because it's fun, it's guaranteed to put a smile on my face, and I'm really happy to see Belarus finally succeeding in their little personal quest to have the Belarusian language at Eurovision. And so I'm really pleased to see them bringing, you know, their language, their culture, all of that to the contest, and I think the live staging is going to look really nice with, like, animated that part of the flag. I think they did that in 2011 as well, and that looks really nice, and I look forward to seeing that. So yeah, they're proud, they're patriotic, and they refuse to do any of that by half measures, and I'm happy for them. I'm really glad they're able to take such heart in their national culture. That's really cool. And also, I'm happy to see a song like this back in the contest in general, just to, you know, break up the flow. We've had nothing but ballads of the 3 songs we've had so far. But the issues with the tired-sounding harmonies live, which is completely fixable given, like, acoustics in the venue and also rehearsals, but I mean for the moment based on the live performance in the national final, and given the song's repetitive, irritating for some kind of nature, that's what holds this one back for me. On a technical level, again I'm going to give it a 7, and again there's a voice in my head telling me to change the score by 1 point, but this time it wants me to raise that score to an 8, but I can't do that, and here's why. What this song does, it does to great effect. It's happy, it's fun, it's got all that traditional kind of flavour to it, and it engages the audience. And that's all to be commended, of course. However, even though it does all that really well, there isn't much variety in what it does, so it doesn't do much. So what it does well, but it doesn't do much. So it does get stale very quickly, and if you don't have the patience for it, then, you know, if you go into the song in a bad mood, by the end of it you might want to put a hole through the nearest breakable object to hand. Or it could get you bouncing along with it, that's also a possibility, but some people might be irritated by this one, and that's what's making me hesitate here. But the thing is, there's not much they can change about that, because it's the style of the song. It's a tough one to talk about. Now, compared to last year, well, if we're just basing this on reactions from people online, and we're not, then this year would win hands down easily. For whatever reason, Ivan's Help You Fly was utterly detested by the Eurovision community for reasons I still don't quite understand to this day. I mean, sure, he was a bit strange personality-wise, you know, he didn't have much charisma with the camera, but by the time he hit the stage in Stockholm, people were legitimately impressed with how it all come together. It scrubbed up really well. It still didn't qualify, but some people thought it actually stood a decent shot on the night. This year, from what I've seen, people are really caught up in the hype of Belarus sending a Belarusian language anagram of their previous singer. get it, because I said, NAVI is Ivan backwards, and they both stylize their names in block capitals. Laugh, damn it. And anyway, people have been swept up in the positive energies of the song, and that's nice, that's good. But while I can't deny that that's a sign of a job well done, on my own personal judgment, and I'm completely ready to be hated for this, I'm going to favour 2016 on this one. I don't think this song is bad by any means. I think it's really happy and fun. I'm glad they've chosen it. But I couldn't stomach listening to it too often in a short space of time. At least Help You Fly had a distinct beginning, middle, and end, whereas this one, like I said, you could rearrange it in pretty much any way and you wouldn't be able to tell a difference. So, is it going to qualify? So many people from what I've seen are adamant that it will, but my first impression when watching the national final performance was, oh dear, they're going to be swallowed by the semi-finals again, aren't they? In truth, it's impossible to say at this stage for so many reasons. Obviously, part of that is we don't know what it's competing against. It could far and away be the best in its semi-final, we don't know yet. But my main reasoning with the whole question mark here is it depends on public sentiment towards the song in May. Never mind what people think now, it's what people think in May. If people aren't as hyped about it by then, or if people are sick of it by then no, it's not gonna make it. It's gonna go the way of the Slovenian Taylor Swift from last year. But if the hype remains high, if the staging is excellent, and if their vocals are on point on the night, and they spread all their love and happiness and positivity to the audience, then yeah, it could make the final for the first time since 2014. So for now, I'm going to take a stance of cautious pessimism, but I think Belarus's creativity and patriotic pride after all these years of trying to get something like this to the contest, it all does deserve to be commended and rewarded. We'll see how this one goes. I'm happy for you, Belarus, but nothing's carved in stone just yet. So for now, well, good luck. We'll see you in Kiev, where, well, I think the locals will have an easy enough time understanding the song, because apparently Belarusian and Ukrainian are very similar. I digress. See you in May.